Hello everybody, today I'm here to do another Mashup review. You guys know I love doing this. If you're unfamiliar with Mashup reviews, it is where I take 3 books, usually within the same genre or similar genre, and review them all in one video. They are spoiler free, tell you what the book is about, what I thought about it, and my rating, and that's basically it. This Mashup review is actually adult fiction. There's 2 literary fictions and 1 mystery thriller, but they're all adult books, so I thought I would combine them in one video. And the books I will be talking about today are The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin, Not That I Could Tell by Jessica Stralser, and Young Jane Young, Bill Zevin. So like I said, these 2 books right here are literary fiction. This one is mystery thriller, but I would say it's also kind of just women's fiction in general. As always, I will leave timestamps down below. I want to hear one review in particular. Without further ado, let's get on to the video. The first book I'm talking about today is The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin. I actually buddy read this with Katie over at Life Between Words, which I highly recommend her channel, and we use Voxer/Instagram, mostly Voxer, to just to tell each other our thoughts and our feelings about each one of the characters and overall the plot. And I really enjoyed it. I had such a good time buddy reading, and it was nice to read with someone that had kind of the same thoughts and just have a general, conversation about a book you're both currently reading. So I just thought I'd share that I did buddy read this. But this is a book about the Gold siblings. Basically, they learn that there is a psychic in town and that she can tell you the date of their death. So they decide to go to the psychic, and each one of them goes in individually, and they all learn the date that they're supposed to die. You follow each one of the siblings. This book is told in 4 parts, so we have the siblings going from the youngest to the oldest. Whole book in a nutshell is, if you knew when you were going to die, how would it affect your life? Would it make you have different decisions? Would it really affect and alter, your future and things like that if you knew the date of your death? So this book is very interesting. Even now, it's been a couple weeks after I finished this book, and I'm still not quite sure what to rate it. While it is a very, very interesting book, like, this book was very beautifully written, and I love the plot, and I loved how, the fact that each one of these siblings knew the date of their death, or what the psychic said, and some of the siblings, I can't spoil it for you, really it affected their life, some of them didn't, and it was just very, very interesting. But still, I don't know what to rate it. As of right now, I'm feeling like a 3.5, maybe 3.75. It was still ultimately a very interesting book. This is a perfect book club read. If you are in a book club and you're struggling to find what book to read next, this is a perfect book club read. And I say that because it sparks a lot of conversation. This book is very rich in a lot of different things. The writing, the plot, it talks about religion, it talks about decisions, it talks about, the future. There's so many things that you could discuss in a book club with this book. If you need a book club pick, I would highly recommend this one. It could have a lot of discussion and debate. Well, it's a very character-driven book, obviously, because you follow each one of these siblings after they learn the date of their death and how it affects them. There is 4 siblings, and I found myself really gravitating and really enjoying 2 of the sibling stories, and the other 2 I really couldn't wrap my head around because I couldn't really connect with the characters. But like I said, this is a very character-driven book, and overall, I did enjoy it, and it made me think, and made me think constantly. I still think about this book. Like, whenever I look at it, I just immediately remember what happened in the book, and it sparks up a new debate within myself of like, wow, what if that character didn't know that, like, it's all about, like, these characters and how their life has changed, and the decisions that they make is all because of this one psychic telling them the date of their death. Like, she has predetermined their future, she has set them on a course, and they base all of their life decisions around the one thing that she told them. It's almost like she gave him a prophecy, but is it really a prophecy? Did this psychic really tell the truth, or is she lying? Or you just really see how what she has said affects their life decisions, and ultimately sometimes it sparks good things in their lives and bad things, and I can't say anything more without spoiling it because I don't want to spoil it, but I would recommend this book. Like I said, it's so character driven and so beautifully written, and it makes you think constantly, which I love books like that have my mind whirling and stuff like that. I would recommend this book, honestly. Like I said, it's a perfect book club book, but yeah, if you've read this book, let me know your thoughts and opinions, because I could discuss this book even now, and it's, like I said, it's been a few weeks after I finished it. So yeah, 3.5, 3.75. I really enjoyed it. There were some things I didn't like about it. The characters, it was character driven, but some of the characters I just really didn't enjoy, and just, it was very interesting though. Definitely recommend. What I talk about is Not That I Could Tell by Jessica Stralser. Hopefully I said that right. This is a mystery thriller slash woman's fiction. I was honestly right to Big Little Lies by Liam Moriarty. It is like almost the same premise. If you've read Big Little Lies, I would highly recommend this one because it's very similar. In this book we follow, it's almost like a cul-de-sac or a neighborhood, and we have these moms and they meet out like by the fire pit, obviously with the cover, one night, and they drink a little bit and, you know, they share with each other a lot, and then the next day one of the moms is gone and she's taken her twin kids with her, and she's disappeared without a trace, and she leaves behind her ex-husband, who they're about to get divorced, and all of her neighborhood friends, and they're trying to figure out what has happened. So it starts obviously with an investigation. We have detectives coming to figure out, you know, was she murdered or did she leave on her own accord, and things like that. This one, the mystery thriller, I would say definitely takes a back seat in this book, much like Big Little Lies does. Both of these books have a big plot point of this big mystery behind it, but it's definitely in the back of your mind. It's more about, with each of these books, about the female friendships and things like that. I will say Big Little Lies is more emphasis on the female friendships, and this one is more about individual characters. I feel like the characters in Big Little Lies came together a lot more than this book, but we follow a slew of neighborhood women that are in this book, and they're trying to figure out what happened to this girl that's missing, and also trying to figure out about themselves. Overall, I enjoyed this book, not as much as Big Little Lies. I love that book so much, I think because it was so character driven, but this one I found kind of unrememberable. I did enjoy it. It was a quick, fast read, so if you're interested in kind of the mystery thriller aspect slash with a woman's fiction or just female friendship altogether, I would recommend it for that, but it's nothing super memorable. It's definitely not one of my favorite mystery thrillers. I personally wouldn't even classify it as that, honestly, because like I said, the mystery takes a definite backseat. Overall, I give this one a 3 out of 5. I enjoyed the writing. I thought it was fast paced. Like I said, I was interested in it from start to finish, but overall, I don't think about it a ton. It didn't stick with me. I think it was too similar to Big Little Lies, and when it comes to books that are very similar to the other ones, there's always a clear winner, I think, in the situation, and this one is definitely Big Little Lies because I think I just enjoy her writing style a lot better, but I would recommend this book if you're just interested in a women's fiction book with a dash of mystery thriller. It'd be a good book for that. The last book I want to talk about is Young Jane Young by Gabrielle Zevin. I wasn't expecting to read this book this month, but I don't know, something about it just made me pick it up on my shelf, and I am so glad I did. I really enjoyed this book. Dare I say, I loved this book. In this book, we follow our character, Avia, Avia is a congressional, is that how you say that word? Intern in Florida. Makes the mistake of having an affair with her very older married boss, aka the congressman, the person who she's interning for. Affair comes to light. Obviously, the congressman does not take the fall, Avia does, and her whole life is over before it really begins. So she decides to move to a new state, to drop her name and take up a new name and start over pretty much. Be stronger and smarter about her life. She also has a baby named Ruby, and she's just trying to be the best mom and the best person she could be. She decides to run for public office where she moved to in Maine, and obviously, you know, when you run for public office, things start coming to light, and you know, her past might be catching up to her finally, and this book is all about that. This book is told in, I'm gonna say 4 or 5 parts. So what I wasn't expecting with this book is that it was told in those many parts. I thought it was just gonna be a straight up story about Avia and her journey of how she had an affair with her congressman and then she started her life over and things like that. No, the book actually begins with Avia's mother, who is a Jewish mother, and she's just recently divorced to Avia's dad, and she is sharing her feelings and her life and her journey with her daughter and learning about her affair and things like that. Then we follow over to the next part of the story. We follow actually Avia's daughter Ruby, and that one is told all in email format, which I really thought was adorable. Ruby was 13 years old. I loved the email format. Then we follow Avia before she changed her name. We learn about her new life and her new state that she lives in. Then another part we follow actually the congressman's wife, and we learn about what she thinks of the affair and how her life is. And then in the last part, I won't spoil it. I don't want to spoil anything. We follow a different character. Either way, I loved all the different parts in this book. And the last part is told like in a choose. If you ever read those books where it's like choose your path, like, you know, you walked into this maze. Do you go left or do you go right? And then you pick a selection and then you base your decisions on from there. The last part's kind of told in choose your own adventure, but you're seeing a character as they are choosing their own adventure. You're not choosing it. You actually see them cross out things, and it sees how what that one decision affected the next decision and affected the next decision. If that makes any sense at all, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure, but you're reading it from a person that's actually living it. You're not making the choices they are, which I really enjoyed the format of this book so much. I thought it was very refreshing. You got a different perspective from these 4 characters, and you got to learn more about them, and you got to see their side of things, and it was just so interesting. This book also touches obviously on the fact of, I say, slut shaming. You know, I think with a lot of affairs that happen with a lot of powerful people, the woman often gets blamed, but I have always been under the notion that it takes 2 to tango. You know, both parties are wrong. Why should one party get off easy than the other party? I don't think that's fair at all, but I think that is how life is and how the media is especially. They are very, very scrutinized against women, which I do not like. So I love that this book talked about that, and we got to see a character. You know, it's kind of like, if you want to say, the Monica Lewinsky scandal that happened back in the, was it the 90s? I don't know. I was a little bit too young for that to really be interested and understand it, but it's definitely kind of like that. Very interesting to read about, and I really appreciated Gabrielle Zevin for, you know, talking about a subject that needs to be talked about. Like, women get the blame a lot for a situation. Like, I don't know, like, it's not fair, but I did enjoy the story. Ultimately, it does talk about a very serious topic, but she takes a lighthearted tone, which I liked. Sometimes I like reading heavy books, sometimes I like reading lighthearted books. So this is definitely a very lighthearted book with talking about very, you know, deep and very deep injustice and things like that. So I love this book. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5, maybe closer to 5. I might bump it up to 5 as the time goes on, but I loved it. Say if you're just looking for a great feel-good book that talks about a lot of important things but has a lighthearted tone, this is a great book. I've not heard anybody talk about this on BookTube or Instagram or things like that. So, I mean, read it. I thought it was great. It came out last year, I want to say, maybe the year before. I'm not too sure. It's definitely a backlist book, and it's not a new release one as the other 2 are, but I enjoyed it a ton. I would definitely recommend this one. My favorite out of the bunch. Like I said, I just loved the format that it was told. It was very refreshing. You didn't get too deep in each of these characters because you got to go to another character, and I loved the topic that it talked about, and I loved watching all of these different women kind of come together, and you learn about each one of them. It's just, I loved it so much, so let me stop gushing about it. My thoughts and opinions on these 3 books. If you have read any of these books, please let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Did you have the same feelings or not? Do you want to read any of these books now that I talked about them? Also let me know. I'd love to hear if people actually like take my recommendations or anything like that. I just love to hear you guys. I just love to talk to you guys in the comments anyway. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.